Well, friends, good morning. So I want to do something kind of slightly different this morning. So kind of in lieu of reflecting on the scriptures and in lieu of reflecting on St. Nicholas, whose feast day is today. No offense, St. Nicholas, we're not talking about you today. I want to reflect on this date. There's something really significant about this date, December 6th. Because you see, 751 years ago, so December 6, 1273, 751 years ago, something crazy happened in the life of the church with one of the church's greatest intellectual figures, St. Thomas Aquinas. St. Thomas Aquinas, what happened? He did the unthinkable. On this date, 751 years ago, he permanently and he abruptly stopped working on his magnum opus, the Summa Theologiae, after many, many years of intensive labor, just months short of its completion. He just stopped abruptly on this date. At this time in his life, Thomas was at the absolute height of his popularity. He was a counselor to popes. He was a counselor to kings. He produced somewhere in the ballpark of like 8 million words reflecting on the scriptures and the sacraments and the church and the incarnation and all of these mysteries. He was absolutely at the height of all of these things, and he had compiled these two monumental theological syntheses, countless commentaries, magisterial questions. He had written hymns, so much more. So why did he go silent, right? Why did he go silent? There's some people who speculate that he had some type of, physical something happened, that maybe he had a stroke. Because he did, in December of 1273, he did spend that December resting and recouping his health in his sister Theodora's house. But I don't think that holds up when you look at the documentary evidence, that there's, from his own letters, this Thomas was still very sound of mind. And in fact, during that time, he had written some of the greatest works that he had put together at that point on the interrelationship between divine foreknowledge and human freedom. So his mind was still sharp. But what does Thomas say about his silence? So on this day, December 6th, the feast of St. Nicholas, Thomas, he celebrated Mass, which was his custom in the chapel of St. Nicholas in San Domenico in Naples, Italy. And during Mass, as often happened for him, he fell into an ecstasy. Just to say, he fell into this state of being utterly suffused with God's grace, standing outside of himself, as it were. And when he finally kind of regained his senses, his friend, his secretary, Reginald, he brought him back and he said, he tried to tell Thomas, let's get back to work. We got work to do. We're nearing the end. And Thomas replied, I cannot do any more. I cannot do any more. But Master, you're so close to finishing, he said. And Thomas's response was, everything I have written is straw. Everything I have written seems to me as straw in comparison to what I have seen. Now, before we jump to conclusions, on the one hand, like straw in the 13th century was a really valuable resource. Beds were made out of straw, roofs were made out of straw. It was the food for beasts of burden, so it had its role to play. And also, on the other hand, Thomas seems to have realized that his many millions of words about God, they just fell utterly short of capturing his majesty and his beauty and his grandeur. That at the end of the day, Thomas's many words were reduced to just babbling. Babbling. This sudden silence, this December 6th silence of Thomas Aquinas, it just stirs me really deeply. It stirs my soul deeply. This man who is so committed to writing and thinking and articulating the nature of God he just encountered something. He encountered a beauty, he encountered a presence, he encountered a reality that rendered him speechless. This man of millions of words, speechless. And look, we probably won't fall into an ecstasy during this Mass. We might not be utterly suffused with God's grace, start levitating up to the ceiling, although that'd be cool. But the reality is, the same reality that fell upon Thomas is here. It's right here. The God who entered our story, who comes to us, is here. So yeah, I would ask us to ask Thomas Aquinas' intercession, Nicholas' intercession, these great angels and saints, these great martyrs and heroes and witnesses of the faith, that they would intercede for us to increase our faith, to see the invisible coming to us in and through the physical, in and through the mundane, the majestic comes to us. Amen.